Hi, everybody.
Another week has gone by. We're back again.
Yeah, time is flying.
This one might actually be a nice 30-minute. I feel like we'll do good to finish in good
We
timing.
do love
Hopefully.
talking. Okay.
Yeah. But it is 12, so we can probably
Yes.
start. We'll
Yeah,
circle in.
yeah. All right. Yeah, we're going to get started because, like I said, Kristen and I love to talk. So, hi, everybody. Welcome to another Wednesday webinar with us. We are doing our Women's Health webinar series this month of April, and this is part two. This is week number two of our webinar series. I'm Carly Smolik. I am a registered dietitian and certified health coach with Thrive Health Coaching, part of your employee well-being department here at Yale New Haven, and joined by my coworker, Kristen Turnbull, who's the other registered dietitian and certified health coach. Together, we are your two health coaches at Thrive Health Coaching. So today's goals, we're going to review from last week's webinar. And today, in today's webinar, we're going to talk a lot about just women's health and bodies through the life cycle, through the different decades of life, and all these exciting chapters that we live through. And we're going to understand what affects weight, because that is a big concern, of course, of many people as we age. The midlife shifts that are happening and why. Again, life stages through the different decades, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. How exercise makes an impact. And again, more on weight management, how to really implement sustainable, healthy weight management tactics. And we're going to talk about your backpack, which we'll leave for the end. So to review last week, this is a heck of a slide. It's a lot of info on here. So please, we encourage you to go back. We have the recording posted. We do have a YouTube channel called Thrive Health Coaching. You can also get the links to it from our intranet site. If you're on the employee intranet, you can go to Thrive Health Coaching and find the links there. We talked a lot about just introducing, the concept of like women's health and what we might be more at risk for, lots of conditions that women might be more at risk for. And our mindset, just about taking care of yourself and how it's not selfish. A lot of us women, we're in a caregiving roles at home and at work, and sometimes it's very hard for us to just make ourselves a nice, nourishing meal. So do remember that it's not selfish. It's really necessary to do these, good things to take care of yourself. And health goals are achieved through consistent foundational habits. We really focused on foundational habits of nutrition and exercise and how it's really non-negotiable. If you want to age well and be healthy and, work towards your health goals, just foundational good nutrition and good exercise habits are really important to implement for, again, through the decades of life. There's no quick fix. So don't listen to anything on social media that says burn belly fat or, lose 30 pounds in 30 days. There's no quick fix for sure. We talked about the plate method. We also have this resource available on our Thrive Health Coaching intranet site. We went through the importance of fiber and protein and how together those are a really important combo, how the non-starchy vegetables, again, just provide your body with all these important nutrients, and healthy fat has its important role too, and lots of water. So these different nutrients together are so key, again, just for giving your body what it needs to work well. So we can't expect to underfuel our body or not give it enough nutrients and then think it's going to do what we want it to do. So we have to fuel ourselves as best we can. And again, the nutrients we went through, the macronutrients, the healthy proteins, healthy carbohydrates, the ones that contain fiber, healthy fats, and water. We also talked about the micronutrients, which are the various vitamins and minerals that are involved. We touched on gut health and the importance of that, which we're also going to talk a little bit about today, and how dietary fiber is just, again, that's another non-negotiable. If you want to age well, you have to make sure you're including sources of fiber. It goes way beyond just bathroom habits. It's so important to have a healthy gut, healthy microbiome within your digestive system, and stay active and stay strong. So, try to fix your mindset so that you don't have the diet mindset or the I need to burn calorie kind of mindset. You want to have a mindset that, you know, you think of yourself as someone who's just building healthy habits, that's you're a person who's healthy and wants to be strong. You want to focus on building muscle because there's so many important benefits that come with having more muscle mass on your body. And diet and lifestyle. The diet, when we talk about diet here, we mean just your diet pattern, your food pattern, not a like a restrictive diet. So food first, right? Supplements don't replace food. They're not instead of, they're meant to supplement. So we just encourage you to really consider your daily habits, behaviors, the foods you're eating. Make sure you're just giving your body just nourishing, meals and snacks that contain lots of important nutrients to help make your body work correctly. And as Kristen and I say, we love a quote. You're always going to see quotes on our presentations. So this is one of our favorites. A woman's health is her capital, right? Your health is your wealth. Your health is your most important asset that you have. And now Kristen will take it from here.
Good start. So we like to talk on the weight and body composition changes, which everyone does experience, and it can be very confusing and very overwhelming. But it is very normal, to feel confused and frustrated or even discouraged when it comes to changes in your weight, because it's really influenced more than just our personal choices or effort. And we forget that, most of these factors are happening quietly in the background, kind of everyday life. So our bodies naturally change across the lifespan due to hormones and metabolism shift and pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, menopause, lots of sleep changes, medications, stress. There's just so much that's happening and so many factors to consider. And at the same time, all of that's happening, but life itself is changing all the time. We might have new careers, responsibilities, relationships, stress rises and falls throughout the years. Time might become more limited. Access to rest may just be out the window at certain stages of your life. So there's just so many factors to consider. And there's also the side of just being a human being, you're not going to be perfect every day. You're going to have sad days and stress and grief and burnout and trauma, and it all affects our energy and our metabolism and our appetite. So I could go on, but there's just so much. And this is a nice visual that kind of shows that. And also there's fitness and diet culture that can muddy the waters a little bit because they're sending these loud conflicting messaging about your weight. And it kind of pinpoints like you are doing something wrong, and that's not good either because it's not true. You are doing the best you can with the circumstances you are in. And so that's why Carly and I always speak on adjusting your goals to be realistic for you and not to, we kind of hate on social media a lot, it seems, but
I
we just
know.
mean that there's
There,
just lots of
right.
confusing, conflicting stuff out there.
And they're looking to make money. Remember that.
For sure.
Any
For
influencer
sure.
is looking to make money. So
Yeah.
that's the main goal.
Yeah. So just remember that, when your weight is shifting or you're hitting plateaus or it just feels unpredictable, it's not a personal failure. It's just that your body is responding to hormones and stress and the environment and emotions and aging and social pressures. And it's just lots happening at once. And then of course there is the midlife shift, which some of you may have, experienced. And this can be another area that just feels a little bit upsetting, and confusing because it often contradicts everything women are taught about our bodies. So many women may say things, you might even recognize some of these common quotes. I used to be able to lose weight by eating less, but now that doesn't really work for me anymore. That's a really, really common one. Or I haven't changed anything yet. I don't recognize myself in the mirror. This experience is very common, and it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. During midlife, there is so many hormonal shifts, and especially in estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, insulin sensitivity, and that affects how we store fat. That's just part of the aging process. And so not only that, but also how we build and maintain muscle. And how hungry or full we feel, like our appetite hormones, how well we sleep, and how well we recover from stress. So fat storage often shifts towards the abdomen. So that's why people may say, I never had belly fat before, but now it's all I can focus on is the belly fat. My jeans don't button, right? You might notice that. And it might feel like it happens overnight. A common one we hear is I used to weigh X when I got married, or just a general age that was much younger than you are now. And we kind of tend to reflect on our past and be like, why can't I still be that weight or look that way? And it's really just part of the aging process. So your body is shifting. And that was a completely different person then, completely different season of life, responsibilities, stress, so much. So it's important to try your best not to reflect on needing to be a certain size that you were, but more so look at how can I move forward and optimize my body now during this stage of life. So these are some common ones you might recognize, but we hear these all the time. And so general, when it comes to the life stages and the hormonal shifts, I'll just briefly go through these. So the reproductive years, so hormones like estrogen, progesterone, they're more stable, they follow a predictable monthly rhythm, most people, and it tends to be the time where you're more insulin sensitive, you have good muscle maintenance, more even fat distribution. And so because of this kind of nice hormonal balanced environment, we are more likely to see the weight loss results by doing some of the calorie deficits, right? Exercising more, cutting out this certain food, you kind of see those results quicker. So they feel more effective, if you will. However, then we continue on in life and life happens and we get older and now we're heading into the perimenopause stage and our hormones begin to fluctuate pretty widely and very unpredictable. And so progesterone declines first and then estrogen may spike or crash. So it's very confusing and a lot of different symptoms maybe depending on your experience. And you might see increased fat storage, especially around the abdomen. Your cravings, your muscle loss may be more noticeable, especially if you're not already active. So that's why Carly and I are always saying it's never too late to lift weights, to start using our muscles, because it really helps with our metabolism. And then we get into menopause and, our estrogen and progesterone drop significantly and remain low. And so the metabolism really does slow down because our muscle loss and our hormonal changes are occurring. And the body might respond less to those calorie restrictive diets you might have done back when you were in your 20s, early 30s, because we have that increased fat storage and just a different way of our body's kind of doing its thing in terms of weight loss. So on the right there, our bodies respond differently at each stage. So what worked before may stop working, and that's normal. So you might say to yourself, oh, when I was in my 20s, I did this, and it all worked. Well, that was then. This is now. We are totally readjusting and understanding our bodies have changed. And then post-menopause, hormones stabilize at lower levels. Our body composition becomes more, changes become more consistent. And then strength training, protein, fiber, everything Carly was just mentioning becomes essential. Like it's almost not even an option anymore. Like you are in it now. Like we are doing what we need to do to make sure we look after ourselves. Yes, we enjoy all the foods, the celebrations, the cookies, the fun things, but we are 80% of the time choosing the lifestyle that supports our health. So quickly, in our 20s and 30s, what is really happening? Okay, so our body composition, our metabolism. Typically, our muscle mass will peak in our 20s. And it's actually, sometimes people may refer to as our bodies at its peak in our 20s and 30s. But this is also a stage where you may see some subtle shifts in how our fat distribution is, progressing. Like maybe more to your hips and thighs due to the estrogen shifts. Our BMR, so how many calories we burn per day, begins to decline if we're not already physically active. Lifestyle, so this is when alcohol comes in, lack of sleep because we're either in school studying or we're at new jobs, our social life has increased. And so we have a lot more irregular eating schedule and patterns, more stress from being in our 20s and 30s and trying to figure out life. And so that may impact our hormone regulation and our energy regulation. And then many women may actually skip meals, not eat enough protein, rely on caffeine and sugar because we're just trying to survive the days of a busy lifestyle. And some of these patterns are just easier to fall into. And so fatigue, mood swings, nutrient deficiencies are often seen when you get into your 20s and 30s. And then brain and mental health. So the prefrontal cortex finishes developing in our 20s, which is our decision making, planning, emotional regulation. And then, so you may see a peak in mood disorders in this stage. But lifestyle and nutrition plays a big role. So if you're able to kind of implement some of these healthy habits when you're in your 20s and 30s, it really makes a big difference. And then postnatal and embracing the changes. So if you are someone who maybe had children or is in that stage now, it's important to recognize how drastic the body can change, right? 9 months or more, right, to grow a baby. And so you have to give yourself time and grace to recover. Self-compassion improves a lot when you are doing that, when you're giving yourself time and rest and understanding, and you're finding a support network that works for you. And if you are breastfeeding or choose to breastfeed, it's normal to be upping the calories to support that milk production. And that would be the time to avoid any of this. I got to bounce back. I need to, restrict. You don't want to do that now because you need to make sure you're supporting your health, baby's health, and just getting rid of some of that unrealistic postpartum expectations. And all in all, focusing on the strengths too, and just being consistent with exercise. Carly, back to you.
So in your 40s, I like to say, what is happening? Because the 40s feel like the wild, wild west. So, we'll talk a lot about perimenopause because, of course, that is mostly what's going to go on in your 40s. It's also referred to as the menopausal transition in research articles. So those are kind of two terms you can use interchangeably. So perimenopause, it's different than premenopause is the whole time before before any kind of hormonal changes start to lead you towards menopause. So perimenopause is this transitional time where your body is transitioning to menopause. And there's no, we don't, we, if only we could have like a gauge on our bodies to tell us what's going on, but we don't. So we're just guessing, based on symptoms and how we feel. It can last from 2 to 8 years. So we really don't know. I am certain I'm in it right now. The average age of menopause is about 52 in the US. So again, you could enter into the perimenopause stage in your late 30s, early 40s. So really considering your 40s is such an important time. If you didn't lock in good habits in your 20s and 30s, this is really the time and beyond to lock in really good habits. So as Kristen mentioned, and we all know, your body starts to decrease production of estrogen, and in addition to other hormones, there's lots of just instability of your hormones going on. And this is not just driving us crazy in our head. This is changing things all over the body because there's estrogen receptors on cells all over the body. So this affects a lot of things. So it does decrease muscle mass. So that's just kind of happening naturally. We also have this increase in visceral fat, which is what we see and feel around our abdomen. It's that increase in visceral fat. This is different than the subcutaneous type of fat, which is just the normal, what we think of body fat all over our body. This special fat around our abdomen is often visceral, and it kind of wraps around our organs. So we don't love that kind of fat for many different reasons. So the decreased muscle mass, increased visceral fat can also they also have some interesting consequences. They can increase insulin resistance. So if you're a person who never had any kind of problem with your blood sugar or A1C before, and all of a sudden it starts popping up in your 40s or 50s, this could be why. It also increases inflammation inside your body, and this also leads to an increased risk for cardiovascular disease. This all sounds like, oh, but it's just information, right? We just need to know what's going on in our bodies. It's so important to know. This decrease in estrogen also can lead to decreased bone density and decreased metabolism. So lots happening and reasons for it, right? It's good to know that there's reasons for it. Also, interestingly enough, this article I just popped in front of me over the past couple of days. We also see a decreased diversity in our gut microbiome. So what that means is that we've got trillions of bacteria lining our digestive system. Some are good guys, some are bad guys. We are having this a decrease in the types of good bacteria. We like to have lots of different strains, lots of different populations of good gut bacteria in our gut, but over time in this perimenopause stage, we see a decreased diversity in the types of good good gut bacteria. So less beneficial bacteria actually influences that gut brain axis. So we did talk about that last week, the direct communication between your brain and your gut, that vagus nerve. So there is an impact on our our brain function. So it makes us more vulnerable to stress and anxiety. And I know I don't need more anxiety in my body. So and it affects how our stress hormones are regulated. So all kinds of changes. So again, I feel like it's very validating to know you're not crazy, you're not just losing grip on things. There's lots of changes, biological changes going on inside your body that are just setting off all of these things that are happening. So it's so important, again, to just know what's happening in your body in each stage of life so that you can really, focus on what you can do about it. Also happening in your 40s for men and women, this massive biomolecular shift. So this is fairly recent research also, where there was a study done on just aging, and if we're aging at a constant rate through life. It turns out we're not aging at a constant rate. There's these massive increases in aging at 2 points in our life. And the first one happens in your mid 40s for both men and women. So for women, this is a double whammy because we're already, entering into that perimenopause window. And now we have this dramatic increase in our biomolecular aging. So again, the way we metabolize alcohol, caffeine, and lipids, which are fats, is changing. So maybe you used to be able to have a few drinks of wine or cocktails, and now all of a sudden it's hitting you different. This is why. Maybe you can't have as much coffee as you used to be able to before, or you eat certain foods that have fat in it and you're not digesting it the same way. So this is likely why. Again, with these changes, we also see an increased risk for cardiovascular disease and changes to our skin and muscle. Because I know for me in my mid 40s, this makes total sense because I was kind of like, what's going on? What's happening with everything? So again, it feels defeating, right? Because when Kristen and I talk about these changes in age to a lot of people, it could be a bummer that things are happening. We all, maybe liked who we were in our teens and 20s when we didn't really have to worry about, too much of these things most of the time. And so things are changing. So we just want you to come at this from a neutral perspective of who I am today. So like Kristen was saying, who am I at this stage of life, and what can I do to take the best possible care of myself? That's how we want you to look at it. Just who am I today? What can I do that's good for my body today and to help me move forward? So again, all the more reason to lock in great lifestyle habits. There's so much that you can control. We can't control everything, but you can optimize your health by locking in the right habits for sure. So in your 50s, more what's happening. So we're kind of transitioning from perimenopause into the menopause and postmenopause stages. So menopause really is just it's just one day of when menstruation has stopped for 12 months. And again, the average age of this is about 52 years. You might still have some symptoms from the perimenopausal transition stage. Um, these often improve over time. They don't always. So again, it's so different for everybody. It's so different for everyone's inside of their body is different for how they respond. Environmental, triggers, all kinds of things. We're all different in how we respond to these different life changes. And of course, the postmenopause time, we spend over a third of our life in the postmenopausal state. So we need to know what's happening and need to know how to best take care of ourselves so that we can remain independent and healthy and have good quality of life for as long as possible. So we continue to have this increased risk for osteoporosis and cardiovascular disease, and these metabolic changes continue to happen with decreased muscle mass, lean body mass. And and Kristen touched on this before, but other stress might be peaking, around this time in your 40s to 50s, where maybe like you're at the height of your career, you're trying to move forward in your career, maybe you're taking classes. Finances are, can be very stressful this time if you've got, family and you're trying to, if you've got a mortgage or you're renting. You might have children that are, heading off to college, or you're caring for aging parents at the same time. There's a lot of stressful situations that happen at this age too that also are contributing to changes in your physical health. Because remember from last week, the gut brain axis. If you're stressed up here, your body's stressed. So your 60s and beyond. Again, this is when we see the second massive biomolecular shift. Similar to that drastic aging that happened in your mid 40s, we've got this other shift in our early 60s. And now we're changing how we metabolize carbohydrates and caffeine again. And our immune system and kidney function might also change at this time. We are, an increased risk for cardiovascular disease again, and some more skin and muscle changes. So this is also, at this happening at the same time as natural aging processes also that men also see, where blood vessels are changing, bone density is also changing again because of aging, increased risk for some cancers. I mean, the longer you live, the more at risk you are to, to have some illnesses or disease. So yeah, so lots happening each decade of life. Some things are similar and some things are different. And so this is just a quick graph to show you how in the premenopause days, this is like your hormone levels. You can see how the hormone levels on the top third are kind of regular. So it follows a kind of predictive pattern where we know what's happening and why. And then the perimenopause stage where it's, again, Wild West. Things are just all over the place. It's not like, it's just like decreases at a steady rate. It might decrease, go up, and it's just much more unpredictable. So that's why if you're getting, blood work done and you get hormone levels checked, it might not really indicate exactly what's going on, because it might be really high at one point of the day, really low another point of the day. So it's just very unpredictable what's going on. And then post-menopause, it kind of restabilizes again, just at a lower level.
Yeah, the testing thing is a big one. Like if you're someone who wants to get your hormones tested, it's so unpredictable because perimenopause, the hormones are, as you said,
Yeah,
Wild West. That's funny. That's a good one.
Wild West.
And so there is something called the gold rush, which you might have heard of. We kind of mentioned this last week too. But essentially women will spend a lot of time in your lives post-menopause. And so it is important to make sure you're living a life that supports your health and keeping that stage in mind. So women's health, perimenopause, menopause, nutrition, it's all evolving at a fast pace. That's why there's so much out there on like social media and research and Google. But it's always important to stay informed the best you can by healthcare professional, PCP, talking to dietitians who maybe have their credential in women's health, and just choosing kind of more fact research over Google or social media the best you can. But there really is no gold standard for managing, symptoms. Everyone's so different. And so advocate for yourself and definitely be aware of like, okay, what's really happening here? And this is why these sessions are great, because it's a time to learn and like, oh, I'm in that stage that Carly's speaking of or Kristen's speaking of. Like I can recognize some of this stuff. So it's good when you're able to understand what stage you're in. But again, just misinformation can spread pretty rapidly. So just be wary of that and don't try not to buy any of the supplements or women focused workout plans, because you just really need to focus on like health basics first, your foundational lifestyle habits first. And so that leads us into exercise. So we do touch on this pretty much every webinar we've ever done, is how important exercise is. And getting a mix, like, cardio and strength training definitely is important. And it really isn't about perfection. It's just consistency. Like what can you do day to day or week to week that works for you? And a helpful framework is typically, 20 to 25 minutes of cardio activity most days, and then trying to get some strength training in at least twice a week, which is ideal. You can always build to that. Overall, 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise is recommended, but also making sure you're eating well and looking after yourself and sleeping, all the things. But I think if you're starting to exercise, focus on those big ones first. Can I get some movement in every week? And it's going to have to fit my lifestyle first. And again, consistency over perfection, always. It doesn't, success or progress that you see does not come from what you do occasionally. It's what you're doing overall, And so results do happen over time, not overnight, which I know is frustrating for some of you who we've both been working with. And maybe you are working on changing your body composition and wanting to lose fat, gain muscle. And it can be a long process, but you are in it and you're in the process, and it's just about staying there and being hopeful and faithful that you'll get there. So how to start? So if you're not someone who does any regular, especially this is strength training, it's really just starting somewhere. That is my biggest advice. And so exercise type and reps is important. So typically with strength training, to build muscle and to use our muscles, we want to either lift, lower, push, pull, or hold a resistance for 6 to 25 repetitions per set. So that might look different for everyone. But you want to aim to work close to fatigue. You want to push yourself enough, but not quite reaching failure. And this, again, looks different for everyone because everyone might have injuries or mobility, issues going on. So, your body best and to know where to push yourself to. The training focus is important too. So sometimes you might find yourself using easy weights often, and you're able to get like a lot of reps in. Let's say it's over 40. You can do that, maybe with a little bit of a burn, but not really getting to fatigue. That is more of the muscular endurance training versus actual strength training. So that's kind of something you can keep in mind. And then again, frequency and consistency matters. Once a week is better than nothing. And twice a week is probably better than once a week. And 3 times a week is going to be better than twice a week, over time.
Do what you can.
Do what you can. Exactly.
Do something. Yeah.
And so many benefits, right? To lifting weights and to using your muscles, strength, changes in body composition with nutrition, reduced fall risk, improved bone density, reduced cardiovascular disease risk, reduced cancer risk, reduced risk for many major chronic illnesses if you are in it and consistent with your movement. And so this may look different. You could pick 1 or 3 days a week and say, okay, that's going to work for me right now, and start there. And it could be in your living room after dinner, or in the morning before you go to work, or on the weekends. It's whatever you can find time to do. And you really don't need much time. 10 to 30 minutes, you can see some benefits. And consistency matters more than duration. I think I've said consistency like 50 times today.
One of our
but
favorite
make
words.
It fit your life. And Carly and I we both use YouTube videos a lot for our own exercise routines because I love just having someone there to follow, and I'm more likely to commit. That's just what works for me. But you can also use weights while you're watching TV or in the office during a meeting when you don't have to be on camera. Maybe you find an accountability buddy, you join classes, whatever you think. Work with a trainer and then track your progress, because you could do all this work and not think you don't see anything changing, but your blood pressure is improved and your clothes are fitting looser and you have more energy and you're sleeping better, right? There's so much. And so we have some resources online on our Thrive site that you could print off. I have a measurement tracking one in the middle. If you wanted to start tracking some changes in our body, like our waist circumference, our thighs, arms, to see if you are losing fat, and gaining muscle, or, because the scale doesn't really tell us the whole picture. We can't rely only on the scale. It's especially in perimenopause, because your hormones are up and down and all around, and that can really fluctuate water weight too, and it's just a whole thing. So anyways, those are on the Thrive intranet, creating your own SMART goal and starting there and seeing what you can accomplish. And last couple of slides, Carly, and then we're done.
Yeah. So healthy weight management, again, we don't have magic wands. There's no miracle. There's no quick fix. It is just mindset of moving away from a diet weight loss mentality and into I'm going to be a healthy, strong person mentality. There's no perfect weight for you to be. So sometimes if you have a target weight in mind, we ask you to not think of a target weight. We want you to focus on becoming your strongest, healthiest self. And usually ultimately we just all want to feel good in our bodies. So your healthiest, strongest self, whatever weight that is, you might feel really good there. It might not be the weight you were when you got married or when you were in your 20s, but it might be this great, feeling that you just, again, you've got some muscle, your blood sugar's under control, your cholesterol's in a good place, you're sleeping well, you have energy. That's the goal for sure. So your mindset is so important. Don't let your mindset get in your way of doing something, of being successful. So think about long-term lifestyle changes versus quick fix. We're building foundations, right? We're building systems. We're putting systems in place in our day, our week, our months, to set ourselves up for success. And eat regularly. Consistency. That, again, our favorite word. Be consistent. We don't want you to skip meals, skip breakfast, and wonder why you're starving at night and wondering why you don't have energy and you just like the carb cravings are attacking you at night. You have to be consistent with your nutrients, protein, fiber, every meal. We want you to have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We want there to be protein and fiber there and lots of veggies. And don't fear fat. That's definitely a message we all got in the especially 80s and 90s that fat was fattening, fat will make you fat. No, we need healthy fat. It's an essential nutrient. Healthy fats are anti-inflammatory, necessary for many body functions. You don't need a lot of it. You just need to sprinkle it in through your day. But the things you can do are reduce added sugars. Really, that's so important. That's a great way to just eliminate excess calories without having to think too hard about it. Eliminate those inflammatory foods like fried food. A lot of takeout and fast foods are very inflammatory because of the ingredients or because they're fried. So if you can decrease inflammatory foods and decrease added sugars, that's a really good thing for sure. And you have to be physically active. You're driving your bus. You're the one in charge of your behaviors. We can't come to your house and make you do anything, right? We can give you ideas and suggestions, but ultimately the choice is completely up to you whether you do something or do not do something. So if you're like, I don't want to do that, I can't do that, ask yourself why. Why are you in that mindset? I saw a good quote once that said, sometimes our own cage was built by our own thoughts. So let that sink in. Don't let yourself stop you from doing something that's good for you. If you don't have time for the 30-minute workout, do a 5 or 10-minute workout. Stand more during your workday. Take a walk around your workspace. Add movement to your day as much as you can, just to, again, put yourself in the best possible position as we're all aging forward. There's no going back. There's only going forward. And understand setbacks are normal. Weight loss is not linear at all. It just goes kind of like this. So just continue to focus on the good habits, just being healthy and strong. That will definitely be a much happier mindset to live in for sure. Have a good pattern. We're not looking for perfection because that's not realistic and that will actually keep you stuck in a bad cycle. So if you have a good pattern, most of the time you're eating really solid, good nutrition and you're moving your body a lot of the time, that's the best you can do. It's just putting these good patterns into place for sure for long-term and good well-being.
Yeah, and I meant to put that little circle, the red circle, have it up kind of high. But I'm just putting it around the added sugars there below because it's showing like a package, a typical nutrition label would show you how much total sugar, but then it'll break it down and show you how much of that total sugar is added sugar. That's kind of where we want you to look. So pretend that circle is a little bit lower around the 23 added sugar. Sorry. Go ahead.
So your backpack. So Kristen came up with this analogy a couple years ago, and we just love using it, right? We
Well, I think I
all
heard it
carry,
somewhere, and then it
or
stuck with me.
well, I'm giving you credit. We all
Okay.
carry invisible backpacks where we are putting in all of this diet culture stuff, and it's very heavy and overwhelming, and it does us no good. So unpack all diet culture, diet mindset beliefs, and put into your backpack now. We want to repack that backpack with really good things that are going to be helpful. Consistency. It's all about consistency. One great day of salads and walking is not going to change anything unless it's, done consistently. And that's just how it is. But flip side, one day where things just felt like they fell apart, you didn't eat well, you sat all day, that's also not going to change anything drastically. So again, it's everything is an accumulation of your daily habits over time. Being consistent is so important. Lifelong good habits. Again, we're not here for short term. We're not here to help you lose weight next, by next month. That's just not how your body works. So lifelong good habits are your best bet. Nourish your body. Work with your body. Don't work against your body. Set small, realistic goals because that is actually what is most successful. You have to talk to yourself positively that I'm a person that deserves to be healthy and feel well, not I don't like my body. I wish my body wasn't like this. I'm mad at my body. So you have to really be, have put yourself in a more positive mindset. Include cardio, include strength. They both have different benefits and they're both important. We don't want you to think of exercise as something that burns calories anymore. That was the old way of thinking. Exercise makes your body work better, and that's what helps burn calories. That's what boosts metabolism. That's just what makes your body work better. That's what we want. We want you to have social connections with coworkers, family, community. That's really important to your physical health, these social connections. Again, protein, fiber, healthy fats, water, vegetables, fruits. We're never going to stop talking about those. Those are just non-negotiables in a healthy lifestyle. So again, throw out perfection, all or nothing mentality, being unrealistic with your expectations, being strict about food rules, that's going to backfire. There's no shortcuts. Don't do any more diets. Just be a healthy person with good foundational habits. And you don't need to look for things that are low calorie or fat free. You just need to look for nutrients that are really important for your body. So again, if you made changes and you were consistent starting today, like today you just went for a 5-minute walk. Today you made sure you just added something with fiber and made sure there's protein in all of your meals. How would you feel? How would you feel 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Imagine yourself making these changes now and imagine yourself in the future and how grateful you would be. But also imagine yourself not making any changes. How would you feel in a year, 2 years, 5 years?
And like aging for independence is so, all of this really leads to being able to be independent, which is so important too. This slide here is just a few of our favorites, not sponsoring or anything to do with this. This is just things that
Yeah, we
Carly
don't
and
have
I like.
sponsors.
Yeah, we're not that cool. But if you are looking to start YouTube videos, these are two, Sunny Health and Fitness and CastFit. They're pretty good. Like again, talk to your doctor
They're
if you're
free.
unsure of
Yeah.
starting anything new, but they're free. And it's something to do and something to follow along with to get going with exercise. And then some books that we like, which we'll touch a little bit more on in our next couple weeks when we talk on habits. I think we're doing habits. Yeah, we are. Talk more on
Yeah, yeah.
habits and goal setting. But there's some websites on the right, eatingwell.com. We love that one.
Love that one.
Dietitian ran, so lots of good stuff.
Mhm.
And some other ones, Taste of Home, Cook for Your Life. You might have to
And
do
we
some
know a whole
searching
bunch
on there.
more. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have some on our Thrive website. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, so those are some of our favorites, and we'll probably add some more next week. Who knows? But that's everything.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get to questions in a second. But yes, this was our second webinar in this series for women's health, and we've got two more coming up on the 15th and the 22nd. And we are recording all of these, and they will be posted on our Yale New Haven intranet site. So somebody else did ask, how do we access some of the resources we're mentioning? So unfortunately, you have to be on the employee intranet to get to the homepage of Yale New Haven Health. And then under departments and communities, here's a picture right here at the bottom of the screen. You go to T and you look for
Oops,
Thrive. So click Thrive.
sorry.
And then there'll be all Thrive is the umbrella term for all of the employee well-being programs. So lots of things under Thrive. EFR, our coworker Cecily runs the daily meditations, which are lovely. And we'll talk
Oh
maybe more
yeah.
about that at our stress and sleep webinar in a couple weeks. Um, and then there's Thrive Health Coaching. And so you click on that, and then everything that we're
I'm just going
talking
to add
about
the
will be
link here
there.
now too,
Oh,
so they can
perfect,
just,
perfect. And if
um,
you aren't on the employee VPN, it's not the best website, so we really are sorry, but it can't be better. We're hoping maybe soon we'll have better access to different kind of web page design.
yeah.
You can email us thrivehealthcoaching@ynh.org, and we will email you PDFs of the
Mm.
resources if you want. But
Yeah.
again, it's just important to remember there's no quick fix. There's no one reason why you're gaining weight. There's no one reason why you can't lose weight. There's no one reason why you feel yucky and not yourself. There's no one reason why your body's changing. It is very complex. Um, so just know that. And it doesn't, nothing happens overnight. So if you're just feeling stuck and frazzled about where to go, again, foundational good nutrition is so important. You've got to give your body what it needs to to work correctly. Um, movement, that's another non-negotiable. You've got to find a way to include movement in your day. And, the ideal situation is some strength training, some cardio in your week, because they have different benefits and they're both important. And you can do it. You can do it. We promise you.
You can find
We'll
five
find
minutes,
something
10
for
minutes.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find 5 minutes. If you've got 5 minutes to scroll on your phone, you've got 5 minutes to just walk around your house. Um, the
And we
other
get in
day,
our
I've
own
had a lot
way.
of,
So,
yeah, sometimes our beliefs just we get in our own way and we sabotage ourselves. Um, the other day, I had a lot of phone calls. So with health coaching, we can do a Teams, meeting. We can do phone calls. We do some in person, depending on space. But the other day, I happened to have a lot of phone call sessions. So anytime I'm on the phone, I'm always standing up and I just pace. I've always done that since I was a teenager. If I'm on the phone, I don't know why I pace. So I ended up with 11,000 steps the other day, just pacing back and forth in front of my work laptop.
impressive.
I wasn't outside. I didn't walk my dog that day. It was a busy day. I had a lot of phone calls and I was stunned at the amount of steps that I got just from that. And again, that wasn't necessarily sweating cardio exercise, but
Right.
it was movement. It burned calories. Again, movement helping my body work better. So you can find ways to just add little pockets of healthy things in your day. So it's really important.
And people too forget the endorphins that you get from exercise. So, yes, sometimes it's daunting to think of starting, maybe,
Hmm.
but once you do it, you feel so much better. And to take mental note of that, like, oh, when I did
Yeah,
that 15 minutes on the elliptical, I felt really good after. And I'm going to make a note of
right.
that to remind myself every time I don't want to get on,
Hmm.
I know its benefits. And there's that classic saying, what is it again? You can't wait for motivation. You have to just start, and
Yes.
motivation comes because we sometimes
Motivation
think
comes
motivation
after.
is what we need,
Don't wait
but
for motivation.
no, it's
Yeah,
discipline. It's, well, discipline
the
sounds kind of harsh, but
decision.
it's more like
I know.
consistency, essentially, just doing it.
Hmm. Making the
And
decision, right? And right.
yeah,
Don't wait to feel ready because that doesn't come.
no,
We get in our own way. So just do something. Everyone can get up and do something. Or if you have bad knees or, you can do something in a chair. You can do a lot. There's always something that you can do to help your body be healthy for sure.
yeah. But I will,
And oh, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, I was just gonna say that this is
Mm.
recorded, so I'm gonna post it as soon as I can, because sometimes people will request it through SharePoint, but I'm like working on
Yes.
it on YouTube, so just give me maybe an hour and then it should be up on YouTube, so you can, and I'll put
Yes.
the link in the chat. Um, and then you could send it to
Um,
your coworkers maybe who weren't able
I
to
know,
make
yeah,
it.
share with all the ladies in your life. We've got this. We've got each other. You've got us too. We're all on your
We're
side
all
for
in it.
sure.
We're all in it. Yep.
All in this together. There's no avoiding. Um, and again, look at it like we're lucky. If you're here on this webinar, that means you're alive. You're well enough to tune into this webinar. You have a job, so those are really amazing things. So again, life is a gift. Our bodies are such a gift. We are walking miracles, right? We're just like these complex machines, fueled literally by the food we eat. So I'm always aware of that, of just like, wow, I have the power of what I'm putting in, what kind of fuel I'm putting into my body and what I do with my body to take care of it. So
Mhm.
again, your body's a gift. So remember to just treat it kindly with lots of love.
Yeah. And that includes enjoying the cookie and the brownie and enjoying
Yeah,
it and not feeling guilty and shame for
I
it.
do.
Yes,
Yeah,
but saying, you know what, I would love to have a
I can
brownie
have
right now. So you
this.
have it.
Yeah.
And you say that
Hmm.
was delicious, and then you move on. But
Move on.
sometimes we get stuck and be like, oh, I shouldn't eat
Yeah.
that. Now I got to go do XYZ to
Right.
undo
To
it.
burn it
It's like, no,
off.
you're good.
Right. It's
Gotta keep
awful. Or
going.
what's the point now? I'm just going to eat the whole brownie
Yes.
thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then,
Mm-hmm.
don't, it's just take it easy. Just enjoy the
Yeah.
brownie. You can have it. But then again, move on, go back to your life. It's all good.
And it takes time to unlearn that. So be
Hmm.
patient. You will still have those thoughts that come up.
Yeah.
And you just politely say hi to that thought and say, hello, thought.
Mhm.
I'm not going to listen to you today. I'm going to try not
Right.
to listen to you today. So,
Well, that was
yes,
another good quote I heard that I might have said this last time, that
you do have a lot of
emotions
good quotes.
are not, I love them. My whole social media is basically food
Yes.
and quotes
Yeah.
because I love food. But that emotions are not instructions.
Love
Emotions
that.
are just information
Mm-hmm.
about what you're feeling in the moment. They're not instructions for what to do or what not to do.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind too.
Yeah. And they're not even real. Like sometimes we think everything we think is real. No,
No,
it's just stuff
it's
happening, but it
us.
doesn't
What's
have to
going on
be
here? Yeah.
reality. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So
Sure, for sure.
lots to think about for
Somebody asked a good
sure.
question about checking cortisol levels. So I just wanted to touch on that
Mm.
because yes, cortisol is this like trendy term these days. And yes, it's our stress hormone. So cortisol naturally goes up and down all day, every day. It naturally goes up in the morning because that's part of our body waking us up. But it's attached to so many other processes in our body. So it's natural for it to kind of go up and down. So if you are someone who's just stressed a lot, yay, the cortisol, is going to be high and affect, processes in your body. We don't love chronically high cortisol. But again, it fluctuates from day to day and minute to minute. So checking cortisol levels is not incredibly helpful because again, it's just giving you that one snapshot at that moment where your cortisol might be high or low. It doesn't really tell you the whole picture. So it doesn't really tell you anything. So so ignore like, oh, your cortisol's high, buy my diet plan. Your cortisol's high, buy this supplement. That no, if that stuff worked, we would all be doing it and we'd all be great. And we're not all great. So just
Yeah.
ignore. Remember, if something seems like a miracle, we'd all be doing it and we'd all be super great. So none of that exists. The best thing you can do to manage cortisol is to have foundational good habits in place where you are doing deep breathing. And we're going to talk more about this in our last session. We talk about nervous system, about managing your nervous system, trying to reset your nervous system to help douse the flames of the fight or flight system. So just some deep breathing, walking, taking care of yourself is your best bet for calming down your cortisol levels.
Mhm. Stretching,
Hmm.
even just walking away from your desk once in a while.
You have
Is
to.
it? I
Yes.
know that there's high
Hard.
demands for meetings, but you should always make sure to prioritize a lunch break or some sort of
Hmm.
leave the office, leave the desk, even just to walk to the bathroom and back. Something
Yeah, something.
to kind of
Yeah,
give yourself a
take a
second.
minute. Hmm.
So,
For sure.
but thank you all for joining for week
Thank
2.
you.
Um, and we'll be back next week. 12
Yep.
o'clock.
Join us next week, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.